The anniversary dinner was Mom's idea. 40 years of marriage deserved celebration at Marcello's, the most exclusive Italian restaurant in the city. White tablecloths, live piano music, and a wine list that started at $200 a bottle. I arrived early, watching through the window as the valet parked my modest Honda Civic next to a row of Mercedes and BMWs. My brother Devin's Tesla was already there, gleaming under the streetlights. "Miss Martinez, welcome back." The maitre d' greeted me with a warm smile. "Your family is already seated." I followed him to the private dining room where Mom, Dad, and Devin sat admiring the anniversary cake. 4 tiers of Italian cream with gold leaf decorations. "There she is." Mom's voice had that edge it always did when she was about to ask for something. "We were just discussing the evening's arrangements." I kissed her cheek and sat down. "Happy anniversary. 40 years is incredible." "Thank you, sweetheart." Dad raised his wine glass. "Your mother wanted to do something special." "Speaking of special," Devin said, swirling his Burlo, "did you see the menu? The tasting menu is $350 per person. Before wine." My stomach tightened. "That's expensive." "Well, you know how Mom loves their osso buco." Devin's smile didn't reach his eyes. "And since you're the one who still lives at home rent-free, we figured you'd want to contribute." "I don't live rent-free," I said quietly. "I pay you $1,200 a month." "For a room in our house," Mom corrected. "That's hardly market rate. A 1-bedroom apartment in this city costs at least $2,500. Plus," Devin added, "you use the utilities, the kitchen, the living room. Really, you're getting a steal." I looked at my parents. Dad avoided my eyes, studying his wine. Mom's expression was expectant, entitled. "So you want me to pay for dinner?" I asked. "It's only fair," Mom said. "Devin has his own mortgage, his own bills. He's established. You're still finding your way." "Finding my way." At 32, with a master's degree in software engineering and 6 years at a major tech company. "Finding my way. How much would my share be?" I asked. Devin pulled out his phone, tapping the calculator. "Well, with the tasting menu, wine pairings, champagne, cake fee and tip, I'd say $2,000 should cover your portion." $2,000? Unless you want Mom and Dad's anniversary to be ruined by cheap wine and smaller portions? His eyebrow arched. "Some of us value family occasions." The server appeared with appetizers, burrata with heirloom tomatoes, prosciutto, grilled octopus. All things I knew I was apparently buying. "Actually," I said, setting down my water glass, "there's something I need to discuss." "About the house." Mom's face brightened. "Oh good. We were going to bring that up. Your father and I have been talking, and we think it's time you started contributing more to the household expenses." "More than $1,200 a month?" "Well, yes." She dabbed her lips with the napkin. "The property taxes went up this year. And the roof needs repairs. We're thinking $2,500 a month would be more appropriate." "That's more than an apartment would cost," I pointed out. "But your family," Dad said, finally speaking. "Family takes care of each other." "Exactly." Devin leaned back in his chair. I chip in too. I helped them with the new deck last summer." He'd helped by hiring contractors and putting it on their credit card, the one I'd been making payments on for 8 months. "How much are the property taxes?" I asked. Mom waved her hand dismissively. "That's not really your concern." "How much?" "About $8,000 annually," Dad admitted. "And the mortgage payment?" They exchanged glances. "There is no mortgage," Mom said carefully. "We paid it off years ago." My heart started pounding. "When did you pay it off?" 3 years ago, Dad said. "Used your grandmother's inheritance." 3 years ago. Right before they'd started asking me for $1,200 a month in rent. "So for 3 years I've been paying you $1,200 a month for a house with no mortgage?" "You're paying for the privilege of living there," Devin cut in. "For utilities, maintenance, food." "I buy my own food. I pay for my own car insurance, phone, everything. The only thing I use is electricity and water, which maybe costs $100 a month." "Sarah, you're being ungrateful," Mom said sharply. "We've given you a place to live. That I've been paying $43,200 for over 3 years." The table went silent. "That's dramatic," Devin said finally. You make it sound like they're stealing from you. What would you call it? Family helping family, Mom said coldly. Something you've apparently forgotten the meaning of. The server arrived with the main courses. Osso buco for Mom, bistecca for Dad, branzino for Devon. I hadn't even ordered yet. We took the liberty of ordering for you, Mom said. The veal marsala. It's excellent here. Of course they had. There's something else, Mom continued, cutting into her osso buco. Your father and I are planning a trip to Italy next spring. For our anniversary. We'll need you to cover the house payment while we're gone. What house payment? You just said there's no mortgage. The equity line, Dad said quietly. My blood ran cold. You took out an equity line? On a paid-off house. Just $150,000, Mom said defensively. For renovations and the trip. The payment is only $1,800 a month. And you want me to pay it while you're in Italy? Well, you'll be living there, Devon said reasonably. It's only fair. I looked at my family, my mother in her designer dress, my father in his custom suit, my brother with his Rolex gleaming under the chandelier lights. All of them expecting me to fund their lifestyle while treating me like a charity case. I need to make a call, I said, standing up. Sarah, sit down, Mom hissed. We're in the middle of dinner. I'll be right back. I walked out to the lobby and pulled out my phone, hands shaking. Ms. Martinez? The voice was professional, familiar. Is everything all right? Mr. Chin, are the documents ready? Signed and filed this afternoon. The property is officially yours as of 4 p.m. today. I closed my eyes. And the notices? Will be delivered first thing Monday morning. But Sarah, are you sure about this? They're your parents. I'm sure. Thank you, Mr. Chin. I hung up and returned to the table. They were all eating, chatting about Mom's plans for the Italy trip. Feeling better? Mom asked, not looking up from her plate. Actually, yes. But I need to clarify something about the house. Sarah, we've been over this, Devon started. The house at 847 Maple Street. 4 bedrooms, 3 baths. Built in 1985, last renovated in 2020. Dad frowned. What about it? It's not your house anymore. The table went still. What are you talking about? Mom's voice was sharp. 3 months ago, when you defaulted on the equity line payment for the second time, the bank began foreclosure proceedings. You never told me that, by the way. Dad's face went pale. How did you? I work in fintech, Dad. I have alerts set up for any property associated with my address. When the foreclosure notice hit public records, I saw it. That's an invasion of privacy, Mom sputtered. It's public record. Anyway, I contacted the bank. Made them an offer. Cash purchase, full amount of the equity line plus fees. $163,000. Devon's fork clattered to his plate. You bought their house? Technically, I bought the bank's lien on the house. Which, as of 4 p.m. today, makes me the legal owner. You can't do that. Mom's voice rose. Several diners at nearby tables turned to look. I already did. Mr. Chin, my real estate attorney, filed the paperwork this afternoon. The deed is in my name. This is insane, Devon said. You stole our parents' house. I bought a property in foreclosure. If you'd been making the payments, there would have been nothing to buy. We gave you a home. Mom was standing now, her voice shaking. We raised you, clothed you, fed you. And I paid you back. $43,200 over 3 years, plus the $8,000 I've been paying on your credit cards. Plus the $12,000 I loaned you for the deck that I now know went to Devon's boat. My brother's face flushed. That's a lie. I saw the purchase agreement when I was helping Dad with his files last year. Boat registration in your name, purchased the same week as the deck repairs. The table was completely silent now. Other diners were openly staring. Here's what happens now, I continued, my voice steady. Monday morning, you'll receive an official notice that the property has changed hands. You'll have 30 days to vacate or sign a lease agreement. A lease. Dad's voice was hoarse. To live in our own home? My home. And yes, a lease. Fair market rate for a 4-bedroom house in that neighborhood is $4,500 a month. I'll offer you a family discount, $3,800. That's triple what you were paying. Mom shrieked. That's market rate. You're welcome to find something cheaper, but in this city with your credit score after the foreclosure, it won't be easy. Devin found his voice. This is because we asked you to pay for dinner? You're that petty. This is because for 3 years, you've treated me like an ATM while telling everyone I'm a failure who can't afford her own place. Because you've taken $43,200 from me while giving Devin over $100,000 in gifts. Because you've made me feel small and grateful while you've been committing financial fraud. Fraud. Dad looked genuinely shocked. I pulled out my phone and opened my email. The 3 credit cards opened in my name without my permission. Total charges, $31,000. I found them when I ran my credit report last month. Mom's face went white. That's identity theft, I continued. A federal crime. I could press charges. I probably should. Sarah, please. Dad reached for my hand. I pulled away. But I won't. Because despite everything, you're still my parents. Instead, I'm closing the cards, paying them off, and putting fraud alerts on my credit. The money will come out of your first year's rent. We can't afford $3,800 a month. Mom's voice cracked. Then you have 30 days to find somewhere else to live. Where are we supposed to go? Dad asked, looking suddenly old. I don't know. Maybe Devin can help. He seems to have plenty of disposable income for boats and Tesla payments. My brother's jaw clenched. I have my own bills. Exactly. And now so do they. A man in a chef's coat appeared at our table. I apologize for the interruption, but is everything all right? I looked up at him. Chef Marcelo himself, owner and executive chef of the restaurant. Everything's fine, I said. Just a family discussion about property ownership. He nodded slowly, then his eyes focused on me with recognition. Miss Martinez. I didn't realize you were dining with us tonight. Special occasion, I said. My parents' anniversary. Ah yes. Congratulations. He turned to my parents with a professional smile. I hope you're enjoying your meal? It's lovely, Mom said weakly, clearly confused by his attention. Excellent. Miss Martinez, your usual table in the garden room is available if you'd prefer more privacy. Mom's eyes widened. Your usual table? Chef Marcelo looked between us, sensing the tension. Miss Martinez has been a valued patron for over 2 years. In fact, he paused, seeming to consider something. Perhaps this is a good time to share the news? I sighed. Why not? They'll find out eventually. Find out what? Devin demanded. Miss Martinez is now a partner in Marcelo's, the chef said proudly. As of last month. She invested in our expansion to the waterfront location. The color drained from Mom's face. You own part of this restaurant? Dad asked softly. 20%, I said. Chef Marcelo owns most of it. 2 other people and I own the rest. But you're just a programmer, Mom said. I'm a senior software architect. I make $240,000 a year plus bonuses. Last year I made $340,000 total. Devin looked shocked. I also do side jobs, building apps and systems. That brings in about $80,000 more. 2 years ago I bought a 4-unit building. I live in one and rent the rest. It gives me $6,000 a month. Dad asked, why didn't you tell us? Because you always made my success feel small. When I got a promotion you said I needed a real job. When I got my master's you praised Devin instead. So I stopped telling you anything. Chef Marcelo came over. Dinner is on the house tonight. Congrats on the new property. After he left we sat in silence. Devin finally said, you make more than triple what I do. Yes, I replied. But you liked thinking I was struggling. It made it easier to ask for money and treat me like a burden. Mom began to cry. Real tears this time. If you're so successful, why did you stay? Why pay us? Because I hoped you'd love me for me, not for what I gave. I thought if I helped more you'd treat me like you treat Devin. But when you handed me a $2,000 dinner bill and raised my rent while planning a trip with money taken from me, I realized you never would. We didn't steal, Devin began. You took out a loan on a house I paid to live in and used the money for a boat you said was a deck. What would you call it? He had no answer. The server brought dessert. No one touched it. Dad asked, so what now? You're cutting us off. You decide. Sign the lease and pay market rent. Move out. Or stop seeing me as a bank and start seeing me as your daughter? Mom asked. And the credit cards? I won't press charges, but I'm closing all accounts. You'll never touch my money again. Family helps each other, she whispered. Helping is not the same as using. I stood. Happy anniversary. I hope the next 40 years are better than the last. I walked out into the night. My phone buzzed. I silenced it. For the first time in years I felt free. 30 days later. At 2 p.m. my assistant said, "Your parents are here. They say it's important." I sighed. "Send them in." Mom and Dad looked tired. "No fancy clothes." Dad said, "We're here to sign the lease. It's $3,800 a month. First and last month plus deposit, $11,400. Mom winced. "We have $8,000. Can we pay the rest later?" Her ring was gone. Dad's watch too. "You sold them?" I asked. "And the art. The club memberships," Dad said. "None of that matters." "You do." Mom added, "We're sorry. We're in therapy. We were addicted to status." "Devin cut us off," she said quietly. "So now you need me?" "No," she said. "We want to show we can change." Dad gave me a check, $43,200. "Everything you gave us," he said. "We sold almost everything." I looked at the check. "That's also your rent and deposit." "We know," he said. "But it's yours. Where will you live?" "A small 2-bedroom, Mom said. "Hey. I'm lowering the rent to $2,500. Half a month's deposit, $3,750. Dad looked surprised. "That leaves us $4,250. Keep it. For real emergencies." Mom started crying. "Why are you still kind?" "'Cause you're my parents. And now you finally see me as your daughter." I printed the new lease. 1 year. We check in after 6 months. If you go back to old ways, it ends. "Fair," Dad said. Mom asked, "Why did you buy the house instead of letting us lose it?" "I wanted boundaries, not revenge." "What's the difference?" "Revenge destroys people. Boundaries protect me and give you a chance." Dad nodded. "And if we fail? Then you'll see what revenge really looks like." They left. I looked at the check in my hand, proof of pain and maybe a new beginning. I deposited it and got back to work.